I want to take you back to one of the biggest romantic tragedies ever written by a playwright or any author, Romeo and Juliet. Now, everybody knows what happens in Romeo and Juliet. Romeo sees that Juliet is dead, and so he kills himself, and then Juliet wakes up because she isn't really dead. She was waiting for him, and then she sees that he's dead, so then she kills herself. Now, how is that important? Well, if you actually dive into the meaning of that, Shakespeare writing that he does this in most of his plays and musicals that he writes. He kills people and main characters, and especially for first time people learning about Romeo and Juliet, they know that they die, and it's a complete shock when you first find out about that. Two main characters just suddenly die. Literally the two main characters of the plot die. How does that make sense? Because that never happens in modern theater or modern TV shows or modern movies. And that's what I want to kind of get in with you today. The importance of death in theater or in any production, any entertainment productions that involve acting is insanely important for death, especially main characters. Now, if you let somebody that you just met 5 minutes, the characters just met 5 minutes, he just dies, that's like, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't involve the audience, if you know what I mean. And I really like when characters die, not necessarily even in the middle or the end of the story, because it gives the other characters character development. And that's why when I'm writing my love stories, because I actually write scripts for love, like romantic scripts. And I mean, obviously I want them to be put on a stage or movie, because I've written stage events, and then obviously screen events, so like movies, TV shows, whatever plays. And I've written a lot of different genres, but the most I've written is love, and I always have it. Doesn't matter who, but I always, when I have romantic characters, at least if they're the main characters and it's romantic. If I have a comedy and then there's like a couple, I'm not gonna kill them off unless I have to. But if it is a romantic couple and they are the main characters, I have one of them die, either in the middle or at the end, because then it kind of shapes character development, or kind of gives the audience a sort of shock. Now, if you go back to my past videos, I forgot which one it was, I said that plays, musicals, TV shows, whatever, movies, that they always end happy, and I don't like that a bit. It is true. I mean, I want most to end happy, but some of them, and it's always the ones that gain the most attention or are the most famous, are the ones that end in tragedy or ends bad. I mean, take a look at Revenge of the Sith, okay? Obviously, there's a whole nother trilogy of Star Wars, and it ends up actually good. But and George Lucas kind of embodies that. That's why he's such an insanely good writer and director, is because throughout the entire trilogy, the people know, the audience knows that Anakin is going to be Darth Vader. They know what's going to happen, and they can't stop it. And then when it finally happens, it gives them this sort of heartbreak. Not shock, heartbreak. Like, really terrible. Like, you want to go in there and you want to change it. And it doesn't happen, obviously. Nothing ever changes about that tragedy. And that's the incredible writing of George Lucas. Like, okay, George Lucas is one of the best writers ever. And that's why. And that is why he knew what he was doing when he told the story of Anakin and the tragedy that occurred with him. I mean, that is the best type. And then, of course, you have one of the main characters, Padme, dying at the end. Now, it's totally different, though, because you know that Padme's going to die. Leia and Luke are talking about it throughout the entire original trilogy. Their mothers died when they were very young, whatever. You know that right when Padme and Anakin start dating and are married by the end of Attack of the Clones, you know that she's gonna die. And that's the kind of thing, you know it's gonna happen. You just want to reach it and stop it, but you can't. And then she ends up dying every single time you watch it. And that's the incredible thing. Now, I actually wrote a script about, it's a short film script. It's very interesting. And it starts out, these two kids, obviously teenagers, maybe young adults, whatever, doesn't really matter. They are in a movie theater, and they actually are sitting next to each other for a movie, and they meet each other. And this is actually through the boy's point of view, so obviously it starts off very interestingly, right? And so they obviously talk to each other during the movie, and he kind of starts falling for her, so he asks for her number, whatever. They start texting, and they start going on dates, and they keep going and going and going, right? Now, during this, I'm like, okay, well, I want one of them to die. I'm going to pick the girl to die this time, right? I go back and forth, doesn't matter, right? And I'm like, how can I shock the audience so much to give them emotion? And I always talk about this during my videos. Emotion, that's going to be tomorrow's video. Emotion. That's what you want to get going to an audience. You want the audience to show emotion. Whether if it's comedy, you want them to laugh. If it's a tragedy, you want them to cry. If it's love, you want them to smile and feel the butterflies. If it's drama, you want to feel their tension. If it's a horror, you want them to feel scared. You want them to feel something. And that's why death is so important in theater, especially if it's an important character. I'm actually watching a cop show called The Rookie, and I'm actually about to end season 2. It's awesome so far, one of the best shows I've ever watched, right? And one of the reasons is because the important characters aren't necessarily protected by the plot. You can go, I mean, even Anakin, like, it's not as tense, is because you know he's gonna survive. And that's some of the problems with doing prequels and stuff. But with The Rookie, and this is why. So in the middle of season 1, their captain dies, and no spoilers, obviously. So click off the video right now if you haven't watched The Rookie, but you want to watch it, whatever. The Rookie. No spoilers, again. Yeah, their captain dies in the middle of season 1, and that sets a precedent. And now I'm nervous after watching every show, because I know one of the main characters. She was a pretty main character throughout season 1, and she just died. Like, they were in the middle of a shootout, and she just caught a bullet right in the neck. Like, that's insane. How they went from almost escaping. They were held hostage during the episode, her and the main character. They were right there, about to get out of it, and then she just catches a stray bullet right in the neck, and she dies. That's the type of thing. You think that these main characters, and deep inside, deep inside that they're never going to die. They might be put in so much danger, but they're never going to die, right? Because they can't. They're the main characters. However, The Rookie sets a precedent. Now that I watch every single episode, it could be the last for one of these characters, and that's the amazing thing about it. It gives it more suspension, it gives it more thrill, it gives it more heartbreak and more emotion. That's the importance of death, and that's what you want to do. And not only as an actor, obviously, but it's as a writer, really, for this one. As a writer, even if you're just doing movies, right? People start knowing your name. Oh, he wrote this one. He wrote that one. If in every single movie you put that one main character dies, it sets a precedent. So then people think, even if you go a movie or a show without an actual main character dying, then it still sets that tensity, that still sets the suspension that they could die at any moment. That's why it's so important in theater when an important character dies. I actually was assistant directing last year Little Women, and I had to watch the movie because I wanted to get, a good feel before auditions took place. It was a very good experience for me, even though I kind of was on the sideline for that. It was a very good experience, right? So I watched the movie for the first time. I had no idea what Little Woman was before that. And then Beth died. Not really out of nowhere because she had a sickness, but she died. And then you think, oh, well, that's super heartbreaking because I didn't know that was happening. I mean, at all. I didn't know that she was going to die. What? Not out of nowhere, but it sets a precedent. And now, whatever for the rest of the movie or the rest of the play, I'm like thinking maybe there's a chance another one dies. And even though it didn't, it sent a little suspension and it set a little bit of heartbreak because I had no idea that was going to happen. And that's exactly what you want. You don't want the audience to be predictable about your show or your play or whatever. You don't want it to be predictable. You want it to be kind of shocking at some points because that's what makes a good story. And that's why death is so important. So back to it doesn't really matter because it's a short film and it's probably never going to be made. But so it's about these two people that fall in love, right? And I wanted to be like, how am I going to make this shocking and kind of a sad ending? And so I did, well, what if the girl's parents are going to get divorced, right? What if I do that? So I'm going to set the scene. They're on a beach, right? They're on a beach. Well, they're on a dock, right? And they're on a dock, and she is telling the boy that they're going to get divorced. Now, how am I going to make it so she dies? Well, they're on a dock. So what if, right when they stand up, she slips? However, I want to make it kind of interesting, right? So maybe a little bit like a Romeo and Juliet type thing. Not really, because the boy doesn't die. At least not yet. So she gets up and she slips, right? And then he's going to catch her hand, whatever, be like, I got you, because he thinks it was on accident, obviously. But then she goes, obviously, into the ocean or whatever, in the water. Goes, tries to save her, and then she dies. That's the type of thing. Out of nowhere, you think, oh, well, yeah, it's kind of a sad end because they got divorced and maybe they make up, maybe they go long distance or whatever. But then she just dies. Now, what's going to be the happy ending? He could try to make it up. He could try to do things to get his mind off of it, but he could never do that. He was in love. And it sets a little bit of a hopeless feeling, Hopeless feeling. And that is a feeling, that's an emotion. The audience is feeling hopeless. This guy can't do anything about it. And that is the tragedy. He can't go on with his life. He was in love with her. And he watched her die. She's not going to ever talk to him again. He's never going to talk to her again. And then people can relate to it. I told you guys last video that I really liked this girl at a baseball game I went to. And I'm never going to talk to her again. Maybe that's why I wrote that. It's because I'm feeding emotion and then I'm putting it into my work, which makes it better. And that's the kind of thing. That's what happened. I'm like, feels hopeless because you want to talk to her again, but it's never going to happen. And that is the art of emotion, which will be our next video. I would like to thank you guys for watching, but that is the importance of death. Death can signify a lot of things, especially in theater. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.